In the previous chapter 5, we have already learned about what a Flip Mastery classroom is. In this chapter, we will be elaborating on the benefits of the Flip Mastery model and how it will transform our classroom. You may be asking yourself why you should consider implementing the model, as it seems like a lot of effort to set up, and you may not totally be convinced that the model will work in your setting. But the Flip Mastery model has even more benefits than the Flip model itself. Let's take a look. First and foremost, the Mastery model teaches the students to take responsibility for their own learning. Because now our classroom is a laboratory of education. Learning is now a challenge for them to unpack and to explore. As teachers give up the control of the learning process, students are now taking the control and the education process becomes their own. At first, the students may wonder, how does this model actually help them? But as the students begin to embrace it, they will begin to develop a mature understanding of the nature of learning, knowledge, and their role in education. We are teaching them to take up the responsibility of their own learning, and that is one of life's most valuable lessons. Second, the model creates a way to easily personalize and differentiate the classroom. It allows differentiations for each student to be possible and to allow the pace of the class to be appropriate for each student. Do take note that we must be very careful not to let students move on without a solid grasp of the essential objectives. Under the Flip Mastery model, we interact with the students on such a regular basis, and we know them so well that we are able to constantly modify our expectation for each student as they mature as learners, because we must recognize that our students come to us with different background and needs, and hence our job as teacher is to be perpetually aware of those background and needs and to guide each student to the desired end in a way that is meaningful to each and every one of them. Next, the Mastery model also makes learning the center of the classroom. No longer do we present material, provide a few extra learning opportunities, give a test, and then hope for the best. Instead, students come to the class with the express purpose of learning. We provide them with all the tools and materials to learn, and we support them by helping them develop a plan for how and when they will learn. The rest is up to the students. And because now our classroom is more of a conversation than simply dissemination of information, students are expected to come to class and to continue the process of learning or demonstrating mastery of the objectives. When learning becomes the center of the classroom, the students must work just as hard as the teacher. This means that their minds are engaged and not just passively being exposed to information. Fourth, the Mastery model also gives students instant feedback and reduces the teacher's paperwork. Since we are having conversation during the lesson time about key elements in the objective, through this conversation, teachers will be able to check for understanding and misconception. By doing so, we will be able to work immediately with the student present by helping them to identify what the students don't understand. And from there, teachers can discuss any misconception and plan the students' course of actions to correct them. Once they have demonstrated the mastery of the objective, the teachers will then be able to help the students to plan the next step necessary for the next objective. This is also a powerful time for us to clear up misunderstanding and as well to challenge our bright students to take up the objectives a step further and also to help them see the bigger picture. Often, when the students learn an objective in isolation, they do not see how it is connected to other key topics. Having such one-on-one or small group discussions with the students enables them to have a deeper level of comprehension and understanding. Through the online quiz and assessment, each student is provided a timely feedback that is essential to quickly correct misconception that keeps them from mastering the objective. This immediate feedback is a critical element in the Flip Mastery model because students must master the objectives before moving on to the next unit. And as teachers, we know that not every student demonstrate mastery on the first attempt. Hence, built into this immediate feedback system is the time for us to work with students and to catch any misunderstanding and misconceptions. When we circulate around the classroom, we are constantly giving students feedback on their learning progress. By examining the product they are working on or through guided questions. If we see problems in their understanding, we will be able to correct their misconception on the spot. This immediate feedback stops many problems from ever occurring. Usually, there will be students in each unit who are struggling to understand some particular objectives. After we identify these students and spend some time with them in small groups and hold a brief reteach or review session, this will allow them to give them the best learning time that they have had. Once these misconceptions are cleared up, the students will be ready to move on. Next, we do know that one size does not fit all. So, we do know that not all students may learn best from our videos, but by allowing students choice in how to learn has empowered them. Through this model, students will realize that learning is their own responsibility. Teaching them this life lesson is more important than our academic content. Students have the freedom to learn using their best learning strategies. One of the consequences is that students are discovering how they best learn. By giving them the choice in how they learn something, we give them the ownership of their own learning. This model also allows students multiple ways of proving their mastery of the objectives. This can include summative unit exams, verbal discussions, detailed PowerPoint presentation, short videos, demonstration of understanding written in prose, or even other methods developed by the students as long as the teachers are willing to accept it. Also, the mastery model has changed the role of the teacher. No longer do we just stand in front of the classroom, spewing information and being the center of attention. Instead, we spend our time doing what is the most important, helping students, leading small groups, and working with individuals who are struggling. We find ourselves walking around the room, visiting with students about key objectives. With more opportunities to encourage students and also to tell them what they are doing is right, as well as to clear up any misconception. Through this, it changes the dynamics of the class. Class time is now a learning experience for the students and not just a download and upload of information. The model also teaches students the value of learning instead of playing school, meaning they come to class more interested in just getting a grade instead of learning. They may be the first one to ask for extra credit and tend to want more rote memory questions on exams rather than deeper, more insightful ones. When these students enter our Flip Mastery classroom, they typically get frustrated because the Flip Mastery model forces them to learn instead of memorize. Now, we also have already seen that the model is easily reproducible, scalable, and customizable. And also, it increases face-to-face time with the teacher. This model also allows all students to get involved and makes hands-on activities more personal. And it allows us teachers to make demonstration more engaging. Last but not least, the model has allowed teachers to help kids. With this, I end the PowerPoint.